Well, joining me now, 5 of the best political minds in the country. Keith Richburg, he's the New York bureau chief for the Washington Post, syndicated columnist, CNN contributor Miguel Perez, Democratic strategist, CNN contributor Robert Zimmerman, New York Daily News columnist, CNN contributor Errol Lewis, Mort Zuckerman, editor-in-chief, U.S. News and World Report, and owner of the New York Daily News, I might point out. Just relax, Errol. It's all going to be good. Good to have you all with us. We've been talking about the Nobel Peace Prize. Keith, your reactions this morning when you first learned of it?
First, I thought it was a joke. I was really kind of stunned. But, you know, I tried to go back and look, in preparation for this, go back and look at some of the past winners. They try to sometimes honor somebody for a body of work. Clearly, this was not the case. Other times, they try to make a political statement. And clearly, that was in that category. They're trying to give it to somebody to make a political statement repudiating the Bush policies and saying, we like what this guy stands for.
Some wags suggest that this is a significant, if not mortal, blow to the Peace Prize itself. What is your reaction, Miguel?
I don't know if it's mortal, but it definitely diminishes the importance of the Peace Prize. You know, when you think of the fact that most prizes, most Americans assume that a prize is based on some sort of accomplishment, and we don't have that much to talk about
Silly
right
Americans.
now. You know, so you know, but Lou, my initial reaction, I think, was the one that it was universal. He won for what?
Robert?
Good evening, Lou. Look, bottom line is the Nobel Peace...
I love it when you start with look.
Okay. The Nobel Peace Prize Committee obviously was recognizing him for his goals, his leadership goals in international affairs. And what I find frustrating is why we in America, having our president receive the highest honor on the international stage, when it comes to building alliances for tougher sanctions on Iran, or developing international relations for climate change and a host of other issues, why we would feel frustrated with the need to debate it. It's an important recognition of what our country stands for and our place in the world stage.
Errol, it seems we're wasting Robert Zimmerman's time.
No, not at all.
Note of the...
I think this is going to go down in history as one of their goofs. The Nobel Committee has goofed in the past. Mahatma Gandhi never got a Nobel Peace Prize. He was nominated a few times, somehow never made the cut. When you look at who's actually doing this, it's a committee of 5 that is elected by the Norwegian parliament, and they're all politicians themselves. So this is not some august body of people who are outside the fray. It's subject to the peculiarities that politicians are often fall prey to. There are other controversial decisions that they've made. I mean, this might have been one of the years, and there have been over 10 of them, where no prize was awarded because nobody particularly deserved it. This might have been better off as one of those years, but instead it's closer to 1973 when Kissinger and Le Duc Tho, you know, the criticism that came because they created an armistice that immediately fell apart in Vietnam.
Some people found Yasser Arafat to have been an interesting choice, too.
Another controversial choice in 1994.
Mort, your views?
Well, you know, you don't want to sort of diminish anything like this that accrues to a president of the United States, but I must say it sort of changed my whole sense of the Nobel Peace Prize. I always thought it was based on accomplishments and not on words. And this is a presidency that is at the very earliest in sort of its making. It had to be, as was suggested before, to somehow or other encourage his role, because it certainly has not been on the basis of what he has accomplished. I'm sure there was some dimension of it that was a rejection of George Bush, but it's not consistent, at least with the way I thought of the Nobel Peace Prize. But listen, I wish him well, and I hope it helps him to do what we all want him to do, to succeed.
Yeah, exactly. It's confounding in that you want to wish him well and to earn that Peace Prize, but at the same time it is equally confounding that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee would it's
kind of giving the most valuable player award in the major leagues to a guy who's just played two weeks in the season. You know, it's a little bit early. He may be a fabulous ball player, but it's a little bit early to determine that. But there you are. It is as...
But you see, it's not about... and they made it very clear when they awarded this prize that it's really not about... it's not about performance as much as it's about the leadership goals they want to encourage or the intentions. And they did this with... They did this with Willy Brandt. Even though the resumes are very different from both men, they made the case... this is the Nobel Committee made the point that they were trying to encourage his outreach to East Germany.
Would you like to remind Mr. Zimmerman
Oh, I know.
Willy
Brandt,
Brandt.
yes, Willy Brandt.
I'm well versed, but I'm saying what the Nobel Committee said when they awarded
Two American presidents had won the Nobel Prize, Teddy Roosevelt for ending the Russo-Japanese War and Woodrow Wilson for the 14 points and more or less contributing to the end of the First World War. It's just in a totally different category, and it's not the way we know.
Of course, we would argue that he laid the foundation for the second. Miguel?
An attempt, I think what it is to influence U.S. policy at a time when Obama is discussing at least whether to send 40,000 more troops to Afghanistan. Here comes a prize that is based on Alfred Nobel's will in 1895, which stipulates that it is, and I quote, the abolition or reduction of standing armies that this prize winner is supposed to seek. This is a guy who's considering sending more troops to Afghanistan. Is it not? How is it not an attempt to influence U.S. policy? I don't see it.
Well,
yes,
I would just add, the one accomplishment that they did not mention, but I think had to be there, is his accomplishment in winning the election. In winning the election and breaking down the racial barrier in the United States and inspiring people around the world. Now, what wasn't said was that in itself has been his accomplishment.
I think we're back to more, he's not George W. Bush. Played a large part, apparently, in this election. We're going to be right back with our panel. Stay with us.
I want to give you some important free advice. Let's say you have osteoporosis.
I do.
And you haven't done anything about it.
I haven't.
Well, now's a great time to do something. Call 1-800-804-3804 for a free information kit and trial offer of once-a-month Actonel, and ask your doctor how to help treat osteoporosis. Actonel is clinically proven to help reverse bone loss and can help increase bone strength to help prevent fractures. Do not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow all dosing instructions. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn. These may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. Promptly tell your doctor if you develop severe bone, joint, or muscle pain, or if you develop dental problems, as serious jawbone problems have been reported rarely. Call now for a free trial offer of once-a-month Actonel and help reverse bone loss.
At CNN, the search for truth starts with questions. We question power. We question all sides. We hold people accountable to keep them honest. We question and we search with you. Every day, everywhere, anytime.
You and the networks of CNN search for truth.
Got questions? Let's go.
CNN starting Monday night. A Campbell Brown special. What if you could rewire your brain? A Campbell Brown special. CNN Monday night, 8 Eastern.
J.D. Power and Associates just announced its 2009 awards. And guess who business owners rated highest in customer satisfaction? Twice. It wasn't the phone company. It was Optimum Business. In nationwide studies, customers rated Optimum Business highest overall for phone and internet, based on factors like reliability, customer service, and even billing. For data and voice, the customer's choice is Optimum Business. Call 1-866-580-1377 today.
Hi, I'm from FiOS.
No, I'm here to make sure he tells the truth. I'm his mother.
FiOS has lots of HD channels.
Yeah,
and the best
but
thing.
not every HD game of all 9 New York sports teams. IOTV has them all.
With FiOS, you get a price guarantee, and everyone
That's
doesn't
just
like
a clever way to say you have to sign a contract that could cost you up to $200 in early termination fees. Honey, the truth is important.
For the best services at the best value, the truth is, it's Optimum, or it's not.
Soledad O'Brien reports Latino in America, October 21st and 22nd, 9 Eastern.
With all of the focus, of course, on the Nobel Peace Prize, there's been some neglect of the domestic agenda for this president, for this country. 30 million Americans unemployed or underemployed. This administration giving almost no attention to job creation since the passage of the stimulus package. Banks charging over 20% in many cases, while interest rates that they are required to pay for their money is at historic lows. What is going on here?
Well, there's no doubt but that we're in a very weak economic time, and the stimulus program, which may have been well-intentioned, in my judgment, was badly drawn. It was not going to stimulate employment in particular. anywhere near to the extent that $800 billion should have done it. I mean, when you are talking about a $350 million Unirail from Harry Reid's Las Vegas to Disneyland, you know that this isn't going to happen for a long time. Only $49 billion in new money was going to be spent to stimulate the economy in the first fiscal year, and another $108 billion. These are government numbers. So when you look at the fact that we're going to lose $750 billion to $1 trillion in demand in the economy, it's not going to have much of an effect. The real danger is that this economy, and it's still going down, is going to feed on itself. And the worst part of it, in every way, is the unemployment numbers. They're going to be very damaging politically if we're anywhere near where we are a year from today.
And we're looking at polls that are showing parity between Democrats and Republicans for the midterm elections. Harold, what's going on here? I thought the Republican Party was over.
Well, no, they're not quite over. They're very much in this. There are polls that are showing that people are very unhappy, and that's going to continue. I think Mort is right that there's going to be a real reckoning. You know, there's going to start to be calls, I believe, for a second stimulus package. And they may call it something different, but that's basically what it will be.
But we just heard from the White House at the beginning of the week that there would be no stimulus package.
They'll call it something different.
And by the end of the week, we're hearing something quite different.
Yeah, well, they may call it something different, but the reality is, if the basic Keynesian argument remains true, which is that a fall off in demand has got to be matched by some government spending, they're going to figure out how to spend something real quick.
Calls for Charlie Rangel to be ousted as chairman of the Powerful Ways and Means Committee. How big a problem is he for the Democratic Party? How much trouble is he in?
The problem is the fact the Ethics Committee has taken so long to resolve this issue. That's really the challenge here. The idea that the political pundits in the media are calling for Charlie Rangel's removal because they're bored with the trial is not any credible precedent at all to establish. And Peter King, to his credit as a Republican conservative, voted against the Republican resolution to remove him, because that's not how we pursue justice in America, and we shouldn't do it in the Congress.
Is Charlie Rangel a problem for the Democratic Party, Miguel?
Oh, absolutely. I think he is a problem. I mean, the image of you know, his dealings is damaging to all of them. But again, I agree with my friend Robert here. You know, let's not make too much of this until the whole truth comes out. I think that it's premature to try to remove him right now.
And next up, it appears, is comprehensive immigration reform. How does that proceed?
That's going to be very tricky. It's going to go into next year, which is an election year, first of all. You know, the health care debate is draining so much. I think that'll probably come up for a vote sometime before Christmas. It has drained so much. The partisan division has been so much. It's going to be very tricky to move on to that issue, but he's promised it's going to come up sometime next year.
It would be the height of your responsibility to move on so-called immigration reform when we haven't even begun to look at cap and trade, and certainly health care is producing such deep divisions.
I'm dying to see immigration reform, as you know, but it's not going to happen because of health care reform and what it entails, and the fact that health care reform has now put a price tag on immigration reform. When we want to legalize so many million people later on, they're going to say, oh, it's going to cost us so much more money to insure them now. So it's going to put a price tag on that. It's going to be even harder to pass any kind of immigration reform.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.